let's be honest, this just isn't as good as this. If you guys have watched my recent videos, you know how much I love animation. To a worrying degree, I would say. For quite some time now, there has been a significant rivalry in the world of animation, which is the ongoing battle between 3D and 2D animation. This has been pioneered by Disney, the company that has made some of the best 2D animated films of all time, and has now switched to basically entirely 3D animation. And we know how that's been going for them. So I'm here for one reason and one reason only, to make the case that 2D animation will forever be king on the animation hill. Let's get right into it. Just to give a tad of context, 2D animation has been around since the early days of cinema. And 3D animation, while it's also been around for a while, really boomed in the 90s with the release of Toy Story. Since then, more and more 3D animation has been done in cinema, from the likes of Moana to Coco to How to Train Your Dragon and Frozen, increasing from only a handful of movies in 2006 to more than 40 in 2017. And as a self-instated animation expert, I got a problem with that, and I'm gonna tell you why. See, 2D animation has been the cornerstone of the animation and film industry, giving birth to iconic characters and timeless classics that we all know. From the whimsical world of Disney's Mickey Mouse to the emotional depth of Studio Ghibli's masterpieces, 2D animation has proven its versatility in conveying a wide range of emotions and themes. And it's that ability to convey such a wide range of emotions that I think is key to 2D animation's beauty. The emotional impact of 2D animation, I think, is a result of its inherent warmth and fluidity. Hand-drawn characters possess a certain charm that elicit a more intimate connection between viewers and the animated world. It's as simple as pointing to scenes like Sans vitriol against Lady Hitachi in Princess Mononoke, or the scene where Rafiki reminds Simba who he truly is, or more recently, Erwin's spine-chilling, suicidal speech in Attack on Titan. These scenes just pull you in and evoke so much feeling. I feel like the simplicity of the animation style often amplifies emotional moments, making them more poignant and memorable. Maybe it's even because of the simplicity of the animation style that lets you be engrossed in the emotional moments because there's not much else going on. And I feel like the unlimited creative expression of 2D just adds to how much it pulls you in. I'd say one of the defining characteristics of 2D animation is the unparalleled artistic expression. The process of hand drawing each frame allows for a level of nuance and creativity that is really hard to replicate in the digital realm of 3D animation. There's a reason that most 3D animation looks the same. It's just so much more complicated to stylize it. Whereas with 2D, animators can do so much, manipulate lines, colors, and shapes to convey a wide range of emotions and storytelling nuances. And every artist can infuse their own personal touch, which contributes to the diversity and richness that we get with 2D animation. Each stroke of the pencil becomes a unique breath stroke, allowing for a depth of expression that is super striking visually and hits you right in the feels. A great example of this is the difference between the early Disney movies like Cinderella, Bambi, Snow White, and Disney's 101 Dalmatians, which came at a time right after Sleeping Beauty had just flopped. And they wanted to cut costs as much as possible, so they used a new animation style that was cheaper, where you could literally see all the lines from the animators in each frame. This was a huge departure from earlier Disney movies, which were so clean and perfectly meticulously drawn and colored in. And this gave 101 Dalmatians a whole new life, a new texture that was beautiful and rugged. People loved it. It ended up generating $2.6 billion of today's money. 2.6 billion. Like, what? That's nuts. Especially since Walt Disney didn't like the style himself. He actually hated it. And this is what I mean when I say 2D animation can be done in so many different ways. Just with everything I've talked about alone, I think there are some pretty strong arguments for 2D animation being the king of all animation. But then there's also the global recognition and cultural impact of 2D. Now, bear with me here. The cultural impact of 2D animation has truly transcended geographical boundaries and language barriers. And what I mean by that is the characters like Mickey Mouse, SpongeBob, and Pikachu have become cultural icons, ingrained in the collective consciousness of people around the world. You'd be hard-pressed to find someone anywhere in the world that does not recognize one of these three characters. Whereas, I would argue that way less people are likely to recognize Woody, Elsa, or Kung Fu Panda. I'm sorry, Toy Story fans. Because of the simplicity and accessibility of 2D animation, it's allowed diverse cultures to tell their stories in a visually compelling and universally understandable manner. The global recognition of these characters attests to the universal appeal and communicative power of 2D animation as a form of storytelling. Of course, it is also an ode to the fact that 2D animation has been around for much longer. Because it's been around for much longer, it has stronger staying power, more nostalgia, and more influence around the world. Not only that, it just ages better. Like, go watch Snow White, Pinocchio, or Alice in Wonderland. They're nearly 80 years old, and they still look gorgeous, I would argue. Toy Story, on the other hand, I just don't feel like has aged as great as some of these other older 2D animated classics. Now, you might think that I'm just gonna sit here and hate on 3D and say that 3D animation has no place in cinema or shows. That's not the case. I just think that 3D animation by itself just doesn't stand up to 2D. But there are a lot of projects that are a mixture of both. A mixture of technological marvel on one hand, with traditional charm and creative expression on the other hand. That's when you get stellar finished products like Arcane, like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Man, like Spider-Man Into the Spider-Verse, like Puss in Boots: The Last Wish. These are all incredible, and it seems like the industry is catching on and doing more projects with a mixture of animation, a mixture of that 2D charm and that 3D tech marvel. Honestly, this has to be the way forward for the animation genre, in my opinion. I mean, even Disney is starting to dabble in it with Wish, although not as successfully, but we appreciate the effort, Walt. While the past 2 decades have been marked by the battle between tradition in 2D animation and progress in 3D animation, I think it's time to marry both and follow in the footsteps of the animated innovation that's been taking place in the last few years. Anyway guys, that's all from me. Let me know what you thought of the video, comment down below, give it a like, and subscribe if you're new. I'll see you guys in the next one.